So, Megas, it's funny you should mention that. Remind me, because it's almost 3 hours. I'm gonna beat the shit out of Eli, then we're gonna do a BRB. When I come back from the BRB, somebody at me, I got a tangent I want to go on, somewhat related to that, but I'm gonna wait until after the BRB to do that. They won't let me kill kids. The least I can do is beat the shit out of the worst one in the game. Like, there's a lot to unpack with Eli in general, though. Because, like, okay, he's a child soldier, but he's proud to be a child soldier. He's proud to be a soldier in general. He, you know, he has a lot of soldier tendencies, but at the same time, he hates Big Boss because he feels like, as a clone, he's basically indeterminate. Like, he doesn't have any control over his own future, and it's like, my dude, that's the human condition. None of us have any control over who our parents are. None of us have any control over how or where we're born. None of us have that level of control over our lives, and yet for some reason he just carries it around like a fucking chip on his shoulder and hates everyone and everything because he didn't have any direct control over his life, when at the same time, he's literally using the skills that he has as a direct result of being a clone of Big Boss to be one of the best child soldiers in Africa, and he's, you know, living large on that reputation, but at the same time, while being arrogant and proud of his skill, he also hates that he has the skills, and why? It makes no sense. Tonally, it is completely inconsistent. You cannot be proud of what you are while at the same time hating what you are. That's literally contradictory. Where you going, you little dork? Where are you going? I mean, we can do this all day. He's not even really trying. At least it feels like he's not even trying. Come on, you little dork. This is the world's stupidest game of cat and mouse. Hey, that's bullshit. I hit the button. Game's over here trying to give him a fucking freebie. Get pimp slapped, you little dork. Ju-turn, he wasn't given access to the infinite machete, he was actually born with it. Big Boss has the bandana for infinite ammo, so like as an extension of that genetically, he gets infinite machete.
That he lost. Hopefully now he'll be a bit more obedient.
Nah. I don't think that's how that's gonna go, Ocelot. I appreciate your optimism, but I don't think that's how that's gonna go. Alright, chat. As promised, it's been about 3 hours. I do need to get up and use the restroom. I also need to refresh my water. I'm running low. So yeah, we're gonna do a BRB. We're gonna do a BRB. As we do around this time in the stream. However, I haven't forgotten, I do have a tangent that I want to go on, but I'm gonna wait until after the BRB to go on the tangent. So, alright, chat. We are back. We are back. And actually, that's a good stopping point for Stalker Guitar. Actually, you know what? Because I'm gonna go on a tangent. I'll crank down the music a little bit so we can have a backing track here. But let me bring back this. Because I'm gonna go on a tangent. So we'll keep the backing music for now. Because I do like the Fireside Stalker Guitar. I know that's not really I know that's not really like a genre of music, but just, you know, Fireside acoustic guitar is pretty good. To me, at least. I've talked about that before. But anyway, so tangent. And it's something that, like, the Megas had kind of brought it up, but it's also something that, like, I was talking with somebody else about recently. And it's about remakes. Remakes and reimaginings and things like that, right? Where it pertains to all forms of media, not necessarily video games or movies specifically, but all forms of media. And more specifically, why it is that remakes with movies and television tend to not be very successful, whereas music and video games tend to be more successful. So, the thing is, like, music and television and movies are all passive forms of entertainment. You don't necessarily interact with them in any way other than to just consume them. It's like, right now, we're listening to music. You don't interact with the music in any way. You just listen to it. You just listen to the music and you enjoy the sound. The same thing with television, the same thing with movies. You don't actively participate in that particular type of entertainment. You just watch it. You listen to it. It doesn't, you're not a part of it. You're just an observer. Now, with music, you can do remakes, you can do covers and things like that. And generally speaking, in the music world, lifting another person's song is you do it with their permission. You talk to them. You have a discussion with them, or you have a discussion with their record label at the very least. But most of the time, most artists will go and talk to the original artist if they can, in order to talk to them about doing a cover. And you end up, who this little blonde lady in my monitor corner? That is Muddy Madan. Loading, please. Good to see it. Glad to have you guys. Thanks for joining us on a Saturday. We're in tangent mode right now, but we'll be getting back to the gameplay here in just a minute. But so like with music, a good example is when you do covers. And just to use Metal Gear Solid as an example, you have in this game, not only The Man Who Sold the World, which is a song originally done by David Bowie, but which was covered not only by Nirvana, but also, fuck, I spaced on the other guy. The other guy that did this version in Metal Gear, the version of The Man Who Sold the World. But in every case, you have a different feel. Like, the David Bowie version of The Man Who Sold the World is very different from the Nirvana version of The Man Who Sold the World. Even though the lyrics are the same, the way the song is sung, the way the backing track falls into it, like, it's a very different feeling. And that's what music is. Music is a lot of feelings. It's about how it makes you feel when you listen to the music. Another great example that we've talked about on the stream before is the Nine Inch Nails versus the Johnny Cash version of the song Hurt. Again, same song, same lyrics, very, very, very different feelings. And that's where, music, when it comes to remakes and things like that, can be good because you can take something that already exists and already has a purpose, and then you can do it in a slightly different way to completely change up the way that piece of media feels. The issue, when you take that to a passive medium like movies or television, is that the studios often want to just, they're using remakes as a fast way to make money. That is to say, they're not doing a remake or a reimagining because they want to add something new to the cultural zeitgeist. They're not doing it because they want to improve on the existing work. Because movies are not just a sound medium, they're also a visual medium. The directorial edit, the way that the movie is shot, the way that the actors put in their performances, the way that they read the dialogue, all of that matters. And as a direct result, you can have things like the original horror movies, Nosferatu and Frankenstein. You can have movies like Citizen Kane and Doctor Strangelove. You can even have more recent movies like the Indiana Jones flicks, the Star Wars original trilogy. These movies that, even though they're older than half the people watching them, they still stand the test of time because the director knew what they were doing, the cameraman knew what they were doing, the screenwriter knew what they were doing, and they created a cohesive experience that isn't necessarily modern, but it's still relatable. And so you get into, remakes of movies, especially when you have stuff like the Psycho remake that they did in the early 2000s, where the guy that directed it kind of did it to prove a point, but essentially just I'm just going to do a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho. And it sucked. It sucked because within the context of when Psycho was made, who made it, the way it was presented, all of the things that made Psycho what it was were not carried over to the remake. And so it's one of those things where you have the movie studios, the television studios that are just remaking stuff over and over again to cash in on an existing fan base, and not because they actually want to bring anything new to the table. As an example, and I've harped on this one a lot, but I'll harp on it again, the Lion King remake and all of the Disney remakes are the most egregious and blatant cash grab remakes in recent memory because they're not even, all they're doing is trying to reimagine the politics and trying to reimagine modern sensibilities into classic stories, and that's it. Other than that, it's the same story, it's the same plot beats. They're not remixing it, they're not doing anything different, at least not anything important. Oh, this side character is suddenly gay now. Okay, great. Wonderful that you've decided to include representation, but it doesn't affect the story in any meaningful way. Therefore, there's not really any point to do it other than to score brownie points with certain demographics. And that's where the remake thing comes in, where it's why would I watch the Lion King remake when the original still exists and is better? Why would I watch the Snow White remake when the original still exists and is better? Why would I watch, a remake of fucking Moana when the original is less than a decade old, already exists, and is better? It's that's the problem with movies as a remake, because you can remake stories, but remaking a specific movie is very, very difficult without it just coming off as a carbon copy. Now, that's not to say that you can't do remakes and reimaginings of movies. One of my favorite is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Which, if you don't know, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is based on the Odyssey, like Homer's Odyssey, the Greek epic. But it's not based on the Odyssey directly, it's based on a film that was based on the Odyssey. But it reimagines it completely with new context, new characters, a new setting. It takes the story beats and reimagines it. And it does it so well that a lot of people wouldn't even know that the fucking movie is based on the Odyssey if they didn't tell you and in the beginning credits and the end credits of the movie. Like, they go out of their way to tell you, hey, this is an interpretation of the Odyssey. So, like, you can remake movies and make them good, but you have to bring something new to it instead of just trying to make money. And that's part of the issue. Now, to go back to that where remakes pertain to video games, and again, I know I'm on a tangent here. I apologize if I've lost you, but I got to get this off my chest now. Now, where remakes apply to video games, there are good video game remakes and there are bad video game remakes. And now that I've talked about a good way to do a remake and a bad way to do a remake, you can kind of see where I'm going to go with this with video games. All of the good video game remakes or reimaginings are bringing something new to the table. A great example of a good way to do a video game remake is the recent Resident Evil remakes, 2, 3, and 4. Those games not only took the original formula, but improved on it, introduced new, more modern video game quality of life and sensibilities to make the games more fun to play, smoother to play. Like, the tank controls and the pre-rendered backgrounds in the Resident Evil series on the PlayStation were not a design choice that was intentional. Well, okay, it was, but it wasn't like a directorial decision. They didn't do that to get a certain feel. They did it because of the hardware limitations of consoles at the time. So they had to use pre-rendered backgrounds and basically drop a 3D character on the top of that. And so as a result of that, you end up with these new modern remakes that take all of the 20, 25 years of gaming innovation that have happened since and modernize the game so that you can take that story and the setting and the characters, bring it forward into the modern era so that people who might have been born after those games came out and would never bother to play them under normal circumstances because they're so clunky, get a chance to experience those stories, those characters, those plots in a new wrapper and do it with, again, that modern design sense so that the game is actually fun to play and the survival elements come from the story and the characters as opposed to you fighting against the controls to survive. Because half the survival elements in Resident Evil are a direct result of you having to fight against the controls rather than the game actually being difficult. And then you have, there's no shortage of bad game remakes that are just, hey, we took the original game, ran the textures through an AI upscaler. I'm looking at you, GTA San Andreas or GTA Definitive Collection. Like, hey, we just took the game, ran all the textures through an AI upscaler, increased the fidelity in the text or in the screen resolution, and call it a day. Like, they didn't add anything to it. They're just reselling the same game. It's the same thing with Skyrim. It's like, how many times can you re-release Skyrim before people stop buying it? And you're seeing that now with Bethesda, where they thought that they were going to have Fallout 76 be this cash cow that they could just milk infinitely. They'd been doing it before where they didn't have a live service game, so they were like, hey, what we'll do is we'll just repackage Skyrim every couple of years and sell it to people again. And that didn't work after a certain point. Then you had the Fallout 76 debacle, where they tried to get into live service and that didn't work, so they didn't have an infinite money printing machine there. Now they're doing the thing with Fallout 4 where it's like, okay, well, people aren't buying into 76, but what they're doing instead is they're now trying to do the same thing with Fallout 4 that they did with Skyrim, where they just re-release it over and over and over again and get people to buy it again and again and again. Starfield, again, they're trying to create this infinite money printing machine and it doesn't work. And they're not adding anything to it. Like, I challenge you to show me a principal difference between Skyrim, Skyrim Special Edition, and Skyrim High, or the HD remake of Skyrim. They're all the same game. It's the same everything with the exception of some textures, some shaders, and a little bit of under the hood stuff. But they're not adding anything else to the game. And so, like, that's the thing when it comes to remakes and why movie remakes and TV remakes often don't work, whereas video games are an interactive medium. So it's not hard to improve a video game when you remake it, specifically because there's the interactive portion. So you can literally take the same game and just improve the way that you interact with the game, and suddenly the game is better and the remake has merit. And so, like, that's one of those things where, again, with the remake culture, the reimagining culture in the modern entertainment landscape, like, it works when you do it for the right reasons. But when the reason is, let's take an existing fan base and an existing product and sell it again, that's not the right way to go about it. Like, whenever you're doing a remake or a reimagining, the first question that you have to answer is, why? What are you doing it for? What is the objective? What are you looking to improve upon the original? Again, look at movies that have never been remade and probably never could be remade. Look at Dr. Strangelove. It was absolutely a product of its time, and I don't think anybody could realistically remake that movie today and have it be anywhere near as good. Because again, it's a very specific movie from a very specific time with a very specific message. It would be very difficult to take that, reshoot it with, color film and modern actors and blah blah. Like, doing that would not improve Dr. Strangelove. But you take a game like Metal Gear Solid, which is kind of clunky, you add in all of the control schemes and stuff like that from Metal Gear Solid 2, you get the Twin Snakes. The Twin Snakes was bad for a bunch of reasons, but it wasn't necessarily because they improved the gameplay. But again, that kind of goes back to the whole PS1 thing. That's one of those things that I think a lot of people don't appreciate, is a lot of the greatest games of the PlayStation 1 era were good specifically because the developers had to work around the limitations of the hardware, as opposed to, like, they weren't able to tell the stories that they wanted to tell, so they had to find ways to tell those stories in a way that would work. Oh my. My goodness. What? Why? Okay, so apparently Nightbot decided to ban Rip Van. I don't know why. Is it because you said cunt? I mean, personally, I don't care. Sorry about that, Rip Van. I will unban you. I don't know why Nightbot decided to get overzealous about that. Oh my goodness. What? Why are you guys trying? Stop it. Stop playing with Nightbot. Anyway. But I'll stop on my tangent. I'll stop on my tangent. But like I said, it's like the whole remake thing is it kind of gets under my skin a little bit because, like, you can tell usually right off the bat when something should be remade or when a remake has the right idea in mind. Because, like, for example, if you're remaking a movie and the only thing that you're doing is, hey, we took all of the things from the original movie, we got rid of all the practical effects, we got rid of all the writing, and we just crammed in a bunch of CG bullshit. Like, okay, what is this movie supposed to do? How does this movie improve on the original? The answer is, it doesn't. It's just, hey, here's this thing you liked 20 years ago, pay for it again. Same thing with video games. Like, if it's just a texture reset, if it's just, upgrading the models to have a few more polygons, like, what are you bringing to the table? You're not. You're trying to sell the thing that you already sold again, usually to the same people who bought it the first time. So, like, you're not doing anything to improve on the existing product, you're just trying to sell it again. And it's blatant. It really is. It's blatant greed, and it doesn't sit well. Also, I'm a little bit weirded out by the whole stalker thing because it's just been fire the whole time. Like, there hasn't actually been any guitar for a while. I don't know. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Yeah. Oh, okay, there we go. So the guitar does cut back in, but, like, there's, like, 45 minutes of just fireside. It's just no guitar, just fireside for, like, 45 minutes. But the guitar does eventually cut back in. Anyway, let's get some angry helicopter noise. Gotta keep licenses alive, can't have things become public domain. I mean, don't even get me started on that, Ro. I mean, for those of you that don't know, a lot of the whole public domain laws exist as a direct result of Disney. And they are always trying to re-jockey and rewrite those laws so that they can hold on to their IPs forever. I think it's the stupidest thing in the world that all you have to do to keep an IP is prove that you're quote-unquote using it. Like, it's one of those following the letter of the law instead of the spirit. It's the reason why we've never gotten a good Fantastic Four movie. Because the people that own the rights desperately want to keep the rights to some of Marvel's most iconic characters, but they don't actually know what to do with it. So every time it's coming around for them to, use the license, they just crank out some piece of shit so they can so that they can prove in court that they're actually using the IP. That's what Fox was doing for fucking years. And yeah, Harmony Gold is another great example. It's well, if we just sue somebody every 5 or 10 years, it proves that we're trying to defend the IP. Like, I wish that legally you could define more of the, like, you're not trying to use the IP, you're just trying to hold the IP. And there's no way, like, you can't quantify it, but you can clearly see from the effort that gets put in. Like, unfortunately, effort is not something you can generally manage, and you don't want to do something like, for example, tie movie rights to how well the movie reviews, because then if the movie has a lot of effort put in, but then it just doesn't click with audiences and nobody goes to see it, then you lose the IP on that movie even though you tried your best, as opposed to, so it's like, it's a slippery slope, and that's where the whole letter versus the spirit of a law comes in, and it's hard to define on paper. It's hard to measure, I guess. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, let me rephrase that. It's hard to measure, but it's easy to define. You can easily look at a movie and say, this was a low-effort cash grab. You can't prove it in any quantifiable way. You can't sit down and write out a math equation to prove that a movie was a low-effort cash grab, but you can look at it and you can know that it is. Yeah, exactly. Borderlands, great example. there's a low-effort cash grab. They were hoping that it would coast to $1 billion based on name alone. Except that movie looked like a turd from the day the first trailer dropped, and it never got any better from there. And Rex roll into the chat on a Saturday. Good to see you. Glad to have you, Rex. Glad you could join us for some hot tactical espionage operations. And I say that we've been on a tangent for like 30 fucking minutes. So how about tangent over? Tangent over. Let's get over the tangent and let's get back to the game, shall we, chat? Let us continue with the tactical espionage operations. Yeah, and that's the thing that's disappointing for me about the Borderlands movie is like Eli Roth knows how to make good movies. It's just either his heart wasn't in it on Borderlands or the studio got so involved that they just ruined it. I mean, it could be a combination of both. I'm not entirely sure, but like Eli Roth can make good movies, but Borderlands was absolutely not a good movie. Borderlands was fucked up moment the cast had announced. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna cast Kevin Hart as Roland. Roland, who's supposed to be like a 6-foot stoic military man. You're gonna cast a 5'6" comedic actor just because he wants to put on his serious boy chops for a movie. Not the movie to do that, by the way. You cast a woman who's almost retirement age to play the to play this, you know, young psychic warrior woman. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that she couldn't play that role, but she definitely was not a good fit for the role. Like, Jack Black, sure, whatever, playing him as Claptrap, that's take it or leave it. I personally find Claptrap annoying and not in the endearing way that so many other people do. So, like, they could have just left Claptrap out of the fucking movie and I would have been happier. But, like, if you were gonna cast somebody, sure, why not Jack Black? It doesn't really matter. But, like, the movie was just... Again, there's Tannis, right? Tannis is supposed to be a relatively young scientist who's, like, a prodigy and all this. Who do you get? Jamie Lee Curtis. She's, like, 65 years old. Like, what the fuck were you thinking with the casting on this movie? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, the entire movie was a shit show from the start. Again, I don't know if it was studio meddling or just Eli Roth not knowing what the hell he was doing. Doesn't really matter. It's out in the wild now. There's no taking it back. You can't unmake Borderlands. Alright, so we gotta get in here. We gotta grab some of the materials from Code Talker's area. We are gonna have to fulton these containers. Again, the run's already scuffed, but the only way to complete this mission is to extract them via fulton, so this will be one of the only times you see us fulton a container.
Boss, Code Talker's research has been stolen. The research materials have been packed into 2 containers and hidden in the jungle southwest of the mansion. Enemy extraction choppers will be there any minute. You have to find and retrieve those containers before they arrive. That area is being guarded by zero-risk security, and their client is XOF. If the choppers make one other thing, boss. We need a cargo-capable Fulton extraction device to recover.
So this is another situation where I know exactly where I need to go and what I need to do. The trick is going to be doing it without getting seen and ending up in a fight. Wait, is the container not here? What the oh, okay, here it is. I didn't go far enough. Also, I didn't change the camo, so we might have a problem.
Watch out. You could run into the enemy at any time.
Wait, we might have an issue because I didn't switch camos.
Feel the roots. The branches become one with the forest. The forest is aware of the noise. You must be too.
Don't you come up here. Do not come up here, motherfucker. Alright, so we're gonna do a little bit of this.
Guards, they must know where the containers are. If you can just
Give me that.
squeeze it out of them.
Now where's our mans? Alright, there's our mans. And we give him the old switcheroo. There we go. There we go. That's the first one.
Early warning radar still hasn't picked up the enemy chopper. Target extraction confirmed. That leaves one target to go.
That was the easy one. The next one is not going to be quite so
Early
easy.
warning radar just picked up the enemy choppers. We'll keep you informed of their ETA. Hurry up and extract the target.
Thanks, Dad.
Can't go firing on the XOF choppers. If we attack XOF now, it'll be a declaration of war against Cypher itself.
I don't think I can
That
climb
time
up
will
there.
come.
Well, we'll have to go this way, I think. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, chat. I know I said I knew where the other container is, but I suddenly don't remember. Like, I'm having a moment of doubt. Anyone want to see Kojima make a VR game? I mean, Kojima has a pretty good handle on horror. I think it would be interesting to see him do a VR game. I mean, if he did something like PT, but did it as a horror game, I mean, the man has clearly got the chops. Oh my god. I almost just had a huge fucking problem. Wow.
Hands up.
That could have been really fucking bad.
Enemy presence detected. The map has been updated.
Alright, things are about to get ugly. Things are about to get ugly.
You don't have much time. Move it.
Miller, it's been like a minute and a half. Shut the fuck up. Let me quarterback this thing. Jesus. And now you're gonna go on alert status. Go check it out.
Enemy presence detected. The map has been updated.
Later, bitches.
Target extraction confirmed. Time to go.
There you go, Chad. I literally almost walked up on a big ol' heavy armored dude. That could have been really bad.
Mission complete, and how? They're gonna tell stories about this one, boss.
Hey, look at that. I actually got Foxhound on that one. That's impressive. Is it weird that I want to do that not in real life? I feel like that would be fun as hell. It'd be dangerous, but it'd still be fun.
Boss, we got Code Talker's research materials back in one piece. The medical team has them under lock and key in the quarantine facility. The materials should help their research into the vocal cord parasites. Cypher won't be getting their hands on them now.
Hooray! Look at that, we got the exclamation mark, Chad. That's how you know we're real professionals.
Side ops list updated.
About that AI pod you retrieved from Emmerich's research facility. Guess what we found inside? A corpse. Human. The pod maintained a low internal temperature the whole time, and very little outside air got in. That would have slowed down decomposition.
6 minis assembled, Battletech premiums, and Prime. Thanks for the fun. Enjoy. Well, you know, that's good to hear, Pretz Bear. Sounds like you got it all squared away. Hopefully, you're having a good time listening to some white noise while you paint stuff. Posted some pics of the Battletech minis, no paint yet in Discord Mech Bay. Oh, are you talking about Grindler's minis? Pretzel? I'm confused. I don't always read the whole chat, so like sometimes I'll pick up a message in the middle and then I talk about it, but then I don't know. Like, you'll have to help me with that. Anyway, next mission. We got a combat deployment. I don't really care about that. We got side ups, but we don't have any of the other stuff. We got main missions, but we got nothing there, so let's return to Mother Base just in case there's a cutscene that we need to view. And then if there's not, then we'll go and do another side app to see if we can trigger the game to do whatever is next. Ah, here we go.
Talk. Anything? Still living up to her name. How about you drop the act? Who infected you with a parasite? We can't let her talk. Put it back. All I want's a name. That won't trigger anything. Tell me. Tell me! Your lungs have been barbecued. There's traces of rubbing alcohol in your alveoli. This was found adhered to your lungs, intact. A petal. White Star of Bethlehem. The hospital. Skullface sent you to Cyprus to kill Snake. You were burned inside and out. That should have been the end of it. But, all things considered, you look pretty damn healthy to me. We have Skullface to thank for that, right?
I was the only one capable of applying them to parasite therapy. Until he stole them from me.
Why are you here? Did Skullface send you? Or did you have your own score to settle with the boss? refreshing? Salt water.
No! She'll die.
I'm confused about why the old Navajo is like, he's just sitting in on the torture session. No big deal.
That's enough.
If she wanted to kill the boss, he'd already be dead. Same goes for us. She's had plenty of chances. She can talk. She's not here to kill anyone. You're wasting your time. It doesn't matter why she's here. She works for you now. She's in love with the legend.
Something that Ocelot
makes you
knows
so
plenty
sure?
about.
I was the same way once.
What if she's a spy?
What if I'm a spy? For you? Go on all day.
Boss.
Let her go. She won't speak so she can't spread the infection.
You're not wrong, friend Aid. You're not wrong. I imagine Ocelot and Quiet could make a great and outstanding yaoi fanfic dojin. Be great.
Na beginnen Tisch. Nicht nagetin ti.
Oh.
Idiki plak anat e.
Oh. Ako kode jis des nicht.
Ne bizad.
Belagana gesnita. Tato be yasteta. Aseitota. Dodo ni shita. Dodo ni shita.
It's called character development, friend Aid. Ju-turn, you missed about 10 minutes of torture porn. All right. Hopefully that will allow us to do the next mission. Failing that, we'll just do a side op and hopefully that'll get it squared away.